Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Algebra 1 concept of quadratic function graphs, specifically how we can identify the minimum and maximum values and even the vertex from the graph, and we'll do it in 5 minutes or less. So sometimes we might be given just a graph of a quadratic function. We know it's a quadratic function here because it is a parabola. And so if we were to look at the standard form, right, it would be something like this: ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, we're not actually given the equation, and we might be asked, what is the vertex? What is the minimum value? What is the maximum value? So what are those things? Well, the vertex of a parabola is the point at which it is either at its highest or at its lowest. So in this case, we see it right there. It's at its lowest point right there. And then the line curves symmetrically from either point from that vertex. So that's that particular vocabulary word, is either the highest or the lowest point. And so when we're looking at this vertex, we can actually graph it with a coordinate pair. And this one looks like it's going to be right on an integer there. So the x value is 0. The y value is -5. Right, so we would say the vertex is at the coordinate pair 0, -5. Now, we can get the minimum value of this vertex. Now, since it opens up, we can say its minimum value is going to be -5. That means that for whatever y that we want to give it to it, it will never dip below -5, because as you can see, it comes up from -5 on either side. Now, maximum value, we actually don't have a maximum value. Since this is an upward opening, we would only have a max value if it's a downward facing or downward opening graph. Now, we actually can do a pretty good estimation of what the vertex form is going to be for this. Now, remember, a vertex form looks like this: y equals a x minus h squared plus k. And it seems like that's a little bit strange, but what we know here is that the h and the k are actually the x and y value of our vertex. Well, we know what our vertex is. So we can say it's going to be like this: y equals, we don't know all of it. One thing we do know is that the a is going to be positive because it's an upward facing. So positive a's are upward facing, negative a's are downward facing. So we can say y equals a. And what is my h? Well, my h is 0, right? Because that is the x value. So I can say x minus 0, or really that's just going to be x squared, plus, what is my k? My k is -5. So I can say plus -5, or I could say just -5. Now, to find the a, I'd need to plug in some other points. Maybe I can plug in this point right here at 3, 4. I'd have to plug that in to find the value of the a, but we can at least figure out what that is, because that's really an x minus 0. Let's look at another example. So we have this parabola, and it's actually facing down. So we see the vertex right there, and we see the x-coordinate as -0.5. The y-coordinate is 2.5. So that's going to be our vertex. We're just going to go ahead and put it in decimal form there. So we don't have a minimum value because it's downward facing. We do have a maximum value, and that's going to be that y, the y-coordinate there. And so the maximum value is 2.5. It's going to be always less than 2.5, but we don't have a minimum value because it's going to continue forever. Now, what can we tell about the vertex form? Well, remember, here's our vertex form. We know the h and the k are going to be your x and y coordinates, right? So that's going to be your -0.5 and 2.5. So how do we write that? Well, we could say y equals, I'm going to say -a. I know it's going to be -a because it faces down, x minus, and then that -0.5. So we could just say x plus 0.5 squared, and then it's going to be plus, what is my k? 2.5. Once again, I have to plug in another pair of coordinates to find what that a is.